Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
You are now listening to 13 Revolution on BAIO Radio. Here is your host, Minister Dawud Muhammad.
Listen, brothers and sisters, this is not TV. This is reality here. This is reality here. And so when you're putting together and building a nation, then you and I have to have serious discussions. Number one, we got to know what's facing us. And that's why you have guys like me, because this is my life. My life is security. And maybe I didn't qualify that in the beginning. So let me start over. Me, Minister Dawud, I am a second-generation security technician, security programmer, security entrepreneur. My dad is in physical as well as electronic security. I will be in physical, electronic security, and eventually network security. But I've been a part of security and the security world for now 20 years. I have spent over $3,000, $4,000, maybe $5,000 on security. Man, I can't even say that. I think that I've literally spent maybe $10,000 on security books. That sounds outrageous, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound outrageous? Sounds like I'm making that up. You know what I'm saying? Sounds like I'm just trying to beat my chest. Trust me when I'm telling you I'm not beating my chest, because it does cost that much money. When you got people that go to 125th and they're paying $1,000 so they could debate with you on somebody's damn couch, then you need to turn around and understand that there's some of us out there that really take what we do seriously, and we're going to pay. Listen, I have a fire certification I had to get. There's literally 5 books at $130 each. Come out my pocket. No business pocket. And so therefore, I spent 15 years in the physical industry, basically in the locksmith industry, and now 5 more years in the electronic security industry. So I've studied physical security, I studied electronic security, and I studied network security. I also am now studying what's called fire protection, which is another thing that we will get into probably 2 weeks from now, not next week. So either way, be that as it may, number 3 on the top 5 threat list that you would face in America is terrorism. Now, you look at the terrorists, of course, and you say, oh, this is false flags, and you got to deal with Arabs and this, that, and the next thing. But if you plan to put your own nation in America, if you plan to try to build your nation in America, then you're going to deal with white folks trying to terrorize you. The very first act of terrorism that you faced was being brought over here from the country of Africa, and the second act of terrorism that you faced was being put into slavery. Oh, but number 3 was when you were released from slavery and the KKK started burning crosses and rounding up your people and your children. Listen, brothers and sisters, today is not the day where I got to be, falsely optimistic. I'm being real with you. This is hardcore talk, and it's true talk. And if you can't handle this, then you need to do something and go someplace. But the reality of it is that this is what we face as a people, and it is my job as a security practitioner to, basically apprise you of this. So anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't even realize I didn't have the chat room open. 4th on the list, weapons of mass destruction. Now, of course, again, because you are used to watching TV and looking at the news, weapons of mass destruction to you is, I don't know, it's Saddam using Agent Orange, it's it's cyanide, it's arsenic, it's all that other stuff that people use, and you think, okay, well, this is weapons of mass destruction, and this is Arabs basically using it against white people in America. Understand something, boy. If you decide to put a nation in America and build a nation in America, and it's actually competing for resources, money, and prestige from white people in America, you're going to have to deal with all of that and then some. You will deal with firebombings. Listen, this is not going to be easy for you. This is not going to be easy for you. And I know that you thought that this was going to be a nice little fluffy show where we would just talk about, cameras and access, but I have to let you know what you're facing for you to be real about this, okay? Number 5 top threat is armed militias. Armed militias start with the police, but go all the way into that group, that kind of group that took over that facility out in Oregon. You'll be dealing with that too. And so that's your American basic, that's your American top 5 threats. So now you go over to Africa because you say, okay, well, we don't want to build a nation here. We want to build in Africa. There's many, many threats over in Africa. But the top 3 threats are 3 Islamic groups, by the way, or so-called Islamic groups, because they don't practice the kind of Islam that I practice or any of the people I know who are good people practice. But either way, you got to call a spade, correct? So number 1 is Boko Haram. That's Sergeant Willie Pete's boys, the people that he runs from or sleeps being terrorized by at nighttime, the people that he cannot let come out. He can't keep out of his mouth. Now, you know that they're in Nigeria, and it's basically a quote-unquote Islamist terror group, but they're not Muslims and they're not Islamists, but they're basically, bastards committing genocide on their own people. Al-Shabaab is in Somalia, and Al-Qaeda in Maghreb is the third top organization. So these are the basic threats that you have to face in these countries. You know what I'm saying? And if you're trying to build something in these nations, then those are the top threats that you have to face. So you got to keep that in mind. And with that in mind, it helps you to understand that this is not going to be just a peaceful utopia, but yes, you're going to have to put some work in and put up some defenses. Now, if you want to take the coward's way out and say, well, why should we even do it in the first place? You can do that. But we're not trying to come all of this way to be cowards about this. We have not done all of this talking. We have not done all of this investing. We have not done all of this researching. And we have not done all of this reprogramming of our minds for us just to chicken out and say, well, if you listen to all the stuff that the minister was talking about, then we can't know. You have to understand who your enemy is before you protect yourself against your enemy. That's basic strategy right there. And so therefore, brothers and sisters, one of the most critical factors that you have to deal with in building a nation is security of the nation. And if you don't have a discussion about security of the nation, then you are not serious about nation building, whether it's here or anywhere else. And if you think, first and foremost, that security will be solved by the check procedure that you learned in whatever organization, black organization, insert here, that you was a part of, you are out of your mind. You are out of your mind if you think that basically is it. Because security has to take on such a high level that a lot of you're not even ready for that. You know what I'm saying? You're not even ready for that. So now, what spawned this show? What spawned this show originally is there's a lot of people out there talking about they want to build on the continent of Africa. Okay, that's cool. I understand that. I think it's a good idea. But they say that we want to solve all the problems that we have, we're going to have a nation without borders. Boy, are you crazy? A nation without borders? A nation without no way of protecting? You're not going to be building any nation without no borders. It's going to last for 5 days. You know what I'm saying? It's going to last for 5 days. When they ran down on Tom Array with Dr. York, you mean there was no borders? There was no borders. So what the hell did you expect? When they ran down on the Black Panthers, what did you expect? I'm not saying that these brothers and sisters was in error I'm not criticizing them because hindsight is 20/20. But what I'm saying is if we learn anything from the past, then we are going to have to definitely secure our independent nation with borders and then put out very strong, very serious, very nuanced and comprehensive security. And so therefore, brothers and sisters, the most serious thing that you could talk about is security. So let me give you a definition of security, all right? Let me give you a definition, a realistic definition of security. I have a lot of books out and a lot of notes out, so you got to bear with me. Okay, security implies a stable, relatively predictable environment in which an individual or group may pursue its ends without disruption or harm and without fear of disturbance or injury. The concept of security in an organizational sense has evolved gradually throughout the history of Western civilization, shaped by a wide variety of institutional and cultural patterns. So I want to restate that security implies a stable, relatively predictable environment in which an individual or group may pursue its ends without disruption or harm and without fear of disturbance or injury. That's security. That's security for you. So process that for a second. Because understand something. Like, you're not going to go someplace and just build something, won't be no threats. You're not going to be in here in America and build something, won't be no risk. But at least if you know what you're facing and have a comprehensive idea of how to deal with it, then it makes it easier for you to plan, strategize, and overcome it. Because understand this, brothers and sisters, these terrorist groups that I just mentioned and these threat actors that I just mentioned, they are overcomable. It is just that you have to know what the hell you're doing to overcome these things and these people. You have to know what you're doing to overcome these groups.